Will he finally get his big break? The boys are back for a Chewing the Fat Hogmanay special in half an hour. Before that, another Hogmanay fixture kicks off with some wise words from Frank.
What'd you make of Don David Blanc, eh? Fast-tracked a visa for his nanny. Could he not just have used cash like any normal bloke?
Well, no prizes for guessing what Martin O'Neill got for Christmas.
You know, in many ways, my career never really took off till I took a chance and come over here to Holland. This is actually the first ground I played at, the Vaterschaft Stadion. I used to play for a 4th Division side called Willem III. They had a nickname for me back then, eh? They used to call me Juggler Balls. You know, I never really found out what that meant.
Soup, pizza, the stubborn stains, the ones that can't be shifted with a damp bit of kitchen roll. I'm proud. I'm very proud to say that stains caused by cowardly scum who bring shame to the profession of the professional footballer is no problem anymore. Thanks to new biological Fergal. And by the way, Arsene, it works in skid marks as well.
Oh aye, I'm a big Rangers man. This is my most treasured possession. It's my autograph book. In here, I've got the signatures of all my great Rangers heroes. There's John Gregg. There's Brian Laudrup. Stefan Klos. There's Bob Malcolm.
Hi, Jim White here, and I'm afraid it was yet another scunner for Scotland. Another dizzy, another pure riddy, another right sore boot in the soccer chuckies. It's just not good enough, is it, Charlie mate?
James, you know my views on the current dirtiness of things. We are on the back foot of the slippery slope, clinging to the greasy pole, and believe me, things will get worse before they get even worser.
Speak comfort to me, Charlie mate. Surely it can't be as bad as all that.
For me, James, the proof is in the pudding. It could be a black pudding, a white pudding, a mealie pudding, or my personal favourite, a big chocolate gâteaux with fudgy bits. Alas, but I fear our pudding will be one of the frozen ones out the freezer shop that you can taste the box off of.
Tough talking, Charlie. Well, Alan McAnally was also at the match tonight. Alan, can you offer any consolation without giving us any of your Bayern Munich pish?
Okay. Look, see, I'm telling you, bud, the thing about international football management is that it's exactly the same as running a pub team. Just as fat blokes don't switch boozers, so nationalities don't switch nations. So basically, you're stuck with what you've got.
So hold on, Rambo mate. Are you comparing Scotland to a pub team?
Nope. Hold on a second, Jim. Let's clear this up right now. I am not in no way comparing Scotland to a pub team. That would be grossly offensive to all the many pub teams that play throughout Scotland.
That, James, is tragical, and only goes to prove that our national team is not just dead, the rigor mortis lock is setting in.
And as for the journalists, I wonder what they'll be writing in their papers tomorrow.
One of the most unforgettable moments I ever experienced as a disciple of the Celtic Way took place this year at the San Siro the stadium in Milan. No, the chip shop in Hamilton. Behind the goal, it was a sea of tricolours. The flag of Ireland fluttering in the evening air. An ocean of green, white and gold. And then, in the middle, one solitary single blue and white Scotland saltire. Wasting it for everyone.
And now, will you please welcome, dancing the cha-cha, the very lovely Miss Gina Lamar and Mr. Chick Young. Welcome back to Scott Sport SPL. 10 minutes of football highlights in an hour-long show. Well, what a week for football. My guests are Graham Spears and Andy Walker, and Graham and Andy. What a week for football. Or was it? Well, one might ruminate or even procrastinate before committing to such assertions, but it's certainly a conundrum wrapped up in a Gordian knot, and a question worth ruminating over, up there with who really killed Kennedy? Can there really be life in Mars? And why do I continue to appear in this show when I patently can't be arsed? Andy? Jim? No, I mean, Andy, would you like to come in there? Oh, right. Well, first of all, Jim, can I just say that the look of terror in my eyes is genuine? And secondly, yes, I hear what Graham is saying, and I would have to say I would go along totally with his opinion, with one slight difference, and that difference being that I completely disagree with everything he's just said. Interesting point, Graham. Andy, don't go away. We'll talk more about that later. In the meantime, over to Sarah.
Thanks, Jim. Well, coming up later, you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets for a trip to see a Southampton match of your choice. But first, I wonder what the fans are thinking about whatever it is that has happened this week that I've got to pretend I'm interested in.
Well, what it is this, so it is, I think, and it's not just me, it's hundreds of other fans as well, I think that the way things are going, if it keeps going the way they're going, then they're going to end up...
I'm sorry, I've got to stop you there for technical reasons. The sheen from your plooks is reflecting off my lip gloss.
And welcome back to 90 hours. 90 minutes. Just seems like hours. With me, Jim Spence. Just to recap the answer to the Where Am I quiz. The first clue was my mother is well. The second clue was the tree in the park was a fir. The third clue was the gaffer is a butcher. And the answer, of course, is Tannadice.
Aye, Ken, well, here at Dundee, we didn't want to rely on a 14-year-old boy to go into the crowd to find the racists. Tell you the truth, unless you're sitting right next to one, it's awfully hard to spot them.
And now on BBC One Scotland, this week's edition of Who Do We Think We Are, in which we trace the family tree of eminent QC, big Rangers man and folk singer Donald Finlay.
I know that we are the people, but just who is the people that we are? I can trace my roots back to the early 19th century, and my grandfather, Finlay, who left Pittenweem and Fife to join the army. The Prussian army. Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Finlay, born Pittenweem. Ah, interesting. Apparently he had a panzer division named after him in the last war. Here we are. Intriguing. The father's name appears to have been erased from the birth certificate. I wonder what that could mean. Hold on. What does it say? See folder. Oh. No! This cannot be!
Oh, aye. Know what I mean? The Rangers contingent down here. Me, Two Guy, that big fud Amo. We keep an eye on the SPL, and it really is like a seesaw the now. 1 week Rangers are up in the seesaw and Celtic are down. The next week the saw has seed and Celtic are up and Rangers are down. It swings and roundabouts, so it is. And seesaws. You're actually lucky to have caught me. This is the day that I visit the retired referee's ward at Carstairs to hand out presents, which is only fair, given the amount of gifts they've given Rangers over the years.
Occasionally, football produces a game that is so shocking and so upsetting that the press cannot contain their sanctimonious, self-righteous slabbering over it for weeks on end. Such a match took place at Ibrox Stadium.
Well, I cannot understand why the Huns is going on about Neil Lennon spitting in a Rangers scarf. I mean, that's probably the nearest I'll have had to a wash since it was bought.
Racist bigots. Us? No way. We've had a lot of things inside Ibrox, but not once have we ever had bigot racing.
I have with me now the well-known journalist and football analyst Chick Young. Chick, you were there that day.
That's right, Alison. Yes, I was.
Let me just run through some of the shocking incidents that took place, and you can give us your take on them.
Sure.
Ray elbowing Sutton.
Never saw it.
Ray's hand hits Camera in the face.
Never saw it.
Camera retaliates.
And is lucky not to receive a life ban.
Novo kicks out at McNamara.
Those pictures were inconclusive.
What about when Novo stamped on Pearson?
You mean when Pearson stuck the neck in Novo's foot? Shocking. But you see, Alison, the thing is, this is just the thin end of the iceberg. The madness didn't stop on the pitch. You'd Bob Malcolm been asked to explain why he made an obscene gesture to the Celtic fans. That is just ridiculous in this day and age. I mean, why should you have to explain making a rude gesture to them? And what about Martin O'Neill and Neil Lennon at the end of the match? Surely that was provocative. Neil Lennon looked so embarrassed. He must have wanted to hook his manager.
Chick, thank you.
Then there was an incident in the tunnel involving Peter Lovenkrantz, 2 Celtic players and a female steward. What happened was the 2 Celtic players had to step in and save Lovenkrantz after the female steward attacked him for being such a fanny.
Thank you, Chick. And so the fallout continues to fall out, and the spectre of sectarianism re-emerges from its black hole. A solution to this age-old problem seems a long way off.
Well, I blame the schools. If everybody went to Catholic ones, this wouldn't be a problem.
And now on Strictly Some Dancing, will you please welcome, dancing in the military two-step, Miss Tina Duval and Mr. Jimmy Calderwood.
And with Manchester United still chasing this elusive goal, it'll be interesting to see just how much extra time the man in charge has decided should be played.
To be perfectly honest, I'm not that worried about going into the celebrity Big Brother house. I mean, a month's banged up in a place where the food's rotten, your every move is watched, and you never know the minute somebody could try to shag you. I just feel like being in the Newcastle jail again.
Losing hundreds of goals. Off the top of the league, out the Champions League. We need a sign that God is still a Celtic man. Thank you.
Speaking as the one-game temporary janitor of Scotland Football Club, I just like to say I'm the luckiest man in the world. I've got a lovely wife. In fact, I've got a beautiful wife, 4 lovely kids. I've got a job with a great football club, and Jesus loves me. This I know, because the Bible tells me so. That's not why I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I wasn't offered the Scotland job. Praise the Lord.
Well, after weeks of speculating, months of procrastination and years of pain, Scotland finally got what they were after, a new manager. And he's with me now, Watty Smith.
Walter.
No, I'm Dougie.
I'm Walter, no Watty.
Oops, sorry, I do apologise. Walter, you're taking over the Scotland job, and what I'm sure the fans are dying to know is plenty of money in the transfer budget to bring in new players.
Well, obviously, particularly at the present moment, we're hoping to sign Zidane, Ronaldinho and Shevchenko.
Really?
No.
Great stuff. Well, the news that Walter Smith was the new Scotland boss certainly got the thumbs up from managers, players and pundits alike.
Walter Smith, I like this kid because he ticks all the boxes. Not only is he experienced, he also has experience of being experienced, and that could be crucial in the shorthand, where stabilisation has to be the priority. Gordon Strachan was mentioned, as was the Frenchman Philippe Trousers, but I think he would have been pants.
Can I just say something here? Yeah, for sure. I think Walter's a brave man taking on the Scotland job. It's a poison chalice, a smoking gun, and a dodgy loyal burger, all rolled into one. But I've known Walter a long time. We go all the way back to the days when I had a Tom Selleck moustache and sticky out ears. And if anybody can take a bunch of no-hope duds and turn them into mediocrities, it's Walter. I actually felt sorry for wee Bertie, or as some of the boys used to call him, Lord Hee-Haw. He pure tried, so he did. But I mean, when you hear your gaffer say things like, if only Lee Wilkie was fit, kind of puts the shiters up me. You know what I mean? Can I say shiters?
I've heard that Walter Smith has asked some retired internationalists to reconsider playing for Scotland again. All I would say is that before making any decision, David Weir uses his head, and Duncan Ferguson doesn't he?
Great stuff. Of course, Walter, Gordon Strachan was the fans' favourite. He didn't get the job, but he'd have been a brilliant Scotland manager, don't you think? So, Walter, how long have you signed up for?
Well,
You know, it's a 4-year deal. And, you know, obviously it'll be difficult, but I've set myself a specific target to be achieved within that 4 years.
And what's that?
For Scotland to win a match.
Well, you know, speaking as someone who was proud to represent his country on many occasions, it's interesting to note that the worse Scotland get, the more we have nights like this, you know? The more we're afraid of the future, the more we delve into yesteryear. The more we want to forget about the present when we never win anything, the more we want to remember the great days of our glorious past, when we didn't win anything either. You know, as you say, you know, the greatest honor of all, you know, the greatest honor of all is to play for your country. Is to play for your country. To play.
Sorry, Dennis, is the emotion of the occasion getting too much for you?
Well, no, I've forgotten what country I played for.
You're right. I'm Wayne Rooney, and I'm here to ask you to remember the old folk this winter. If you see milk bottles piling up on their doorstep and newspapers sticking out the letterboxes, then they could be suffering from hypothermia. So ring their doorbell, nick indoors, slip them a few quid, and they'll show you a right good time. At least that's what the old folk that I know do.
Sean?
Yes, Shanetta, my sweet.
Pick your Wayne up so she can see the game.
Oh, you're right. Our child should be introduced to the Celtic way as early as possible. Come on. Come on, Satanta. Can you see the screen? Look, there's that AC Milan player running rings around our midfield again.
It's Kaka.
I know. It's pish.
Sean, baby?
Now, look, Dermot, I mean, seriously, I'm well aware of the fact that the Celtic fans see me as some sort of messiah figure, and without meaning to seem blasphemous or big-headed, I can honestly see the similarities. To feed the 5,000, Jesus was given 5 loaves and 2 fishes. So, obviously, his budget was set by the Celtic board too. As you know, I never read the papers, never look at them. But they've been getting right tore into the team recently. And worse than that, they've been getting stuck into me too. But I can assure you, I ain't lost the plot. I ain't lost the plot.
And what are the players saying to all of this?
Well, why don't you ask Neil Lennon?
Neil Lennon? Neil Lennon's on board.
So, Lenny, tell me, how are things with the team at the moment? Give the gaffer some money. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
To be honest, I'd rather concentrate on the football, in particular how Rangers have caught up with Celtic, and I'd put that down to the signings, especially Juninho and Kamara. Yeah, for sure. I'm a Rangers supporter, so of course I still miss the atmosphere at Ibrox on match day. What's my favourite Rangers song? Well, right now, I would have to say Boom Song.
You look at me like that one more time, I'll rip your bollocks off.
You say that.
Welcome back. Well, probably none of you out there have ever wondered or given a toss about how smelly, manky, filthy professional footballers' kit gets cleaned every week. But we sent Julian along to find out anyway.
You join me now in the laundry room of Clyde Football Club, where Aina, the laundry woman, is washing the players' kits. So tell me, Aina, is this how you wash the players' kits?
Aye.
So, talk us through it.
Well, I takes the dirty wash and I puts it in the washing machine, and then I turns on the washing machine.
Fascinating. Then what?
Well, then when it's finished, I takes it out and I puts it in the dryer. It's hardly rocket science.
Brilliant. And tell me, Aina, are you any good at keepy-uppy?
Thanks, Julian. We'll be back to see how Aina gets on much, much later in the year. But now it's time for me to cross the studio to the executive lounge where Archie McPherson and Craig Brown are waiting. And I bet she goes like a bunny. Archie, if I can start with you, any books out this week?
Well, actually, Jim, no, I haven't, but I am thinking about bringing one out about the history of dog breeding in Scotland.
Really? What's it called?
Woof!
And what about you, Craig? There was talk of you getting back into management with Cally Thistle. Didn't happen. Can you tell us why?
Well, James, I did give the matter very serious thought, but after I'd done a bit of research up at Inverness, I had to conclude that the place was sadly lacking in talent.
At the club itself?
Well, no, at the discos. They Chuchterbirds are pure Hacketts, so they are.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Oh, Janetta, these are brilliant. What are they?
Nachos.
And now, will you please welcome, dancing the tango, the beautiful Miss Zoe Simone and Mr. Frank McAvenny.
Never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Sunlight.
Fever? More like beaver.
The atmosphere here at the studio is